Yesterday I put a text there. Okay, here's, see, ask me any questions about what I'm doing. So yeah, interrupt me please. So hi Stella, how are you? So I'm gonna continue now saying. So yesterday, at the first juz, I've explained my ideas yesterday about how it's important for me, and the message, the first message that you ever see in the Quran, it's about how you recalibrate your compass in this world. How we, as humans, if you really think about it, we have to measure everything, and how that measuring ability of ours is skewed unless you recalibrate it right. Then it goes immediately after that to a part that I haven't explained yesterday, which is I'm not gonna bring up here today, but it's actually written here, which is al-sufaha. This word here means al-sufaha, and which translates literally to the foolish among the people. So the foolish here, it's not about the idiots. No. It's about those with skewed compass, or skewed measuring abilities, or skewed vision for their life. And by skewed here, I mean that they're not evil. No. I said yesterday, for you to have any kind of, of a layout to understand really what religion and Islam is all about, you need to understand the basic layout of, I'm an engineer, okay? So when we study a car, for example, we don't study every nut and bolt and nail in the car. You'll be crazy. When you first study engineering, you see the car as a whole block, or just one block moving from point A to point B, and then you go deeper, and then you go deeper and deeper, and so on. But if I start by my first lecture in engineering, for example, by saying, all right, here's the car. Now, if you dive deep into the engine, you will find a certain piston that works because the pressure, and you will get lost. Same thing with humanity and understanding life as a whole. For you to understand it, you really need to take it as its simplest form. Where, imagine 40, 50 guys starting from scratch on an island. How will the society form? So, if you drag that down, you will understand that evil isn't an innate nature in humanity. No. Evil is simply rationalization of opposing points of views. So whoever is strongest will try to force his point of view that he thinks he's right. He truly believes he's right about it. But the thing is, he believes he is right, and he didn't take a second to think, well, can I be wrong? For that, you need to have some kind of thought that is outside of our human perception. Because as humans, we're always gonna be trapped inside our own minds. And throughout history and philosophy, it has been proved over and over that the terminology for good and bad and right and wrong, that doesn't exist in our own psyche. No. We need to understand why something is bad before actually doing the good thing. Again, let me explain that. As children, I've explained that yesterday, we are born without any control or anything at all. We have zero control, and we rely on our parents. Now, as we grow, we only have the illusion of control, but in fact, we don't control anything at all. A simple virus can prove that to us in the most simplest way. That's why we need to, again, start looking to understand, to educate ourselves. But the more that we have the illusion that we now understand, we know, we learned, we already have full confidence in our knowledge, that's when we are actually ignorant and we stop learning. So here I'm gonna continue reading, and if you want to follow along by reading the translation, please do. And I've explained the way that we read Quran yesterday. It's not literal reading, or just reading No. There is something called tilawa, which is we don't sing it, but there is a certain tunes that you need to use to enunciate and pronounce the words right. So that's what I'm doing. And I read a full juz daily in Ramadan, which if I'm reading it by itself, it takes 30 minutes. If I'm reading and explaining, it might take over an hour or something. So we start now. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. سيقول السفهاء من الناس ما ولاهم عن قبلتهم التي كانوا عليها قل لله المشرق والمغرب يهدي من يشاء إلى صراط مستقيم. I gotta change the category. I forgot to do that yesterday. I'm gonna change it to just chatting. Yes. And okay. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وكذلك جعلناكم أمة وسطا لتكونوا شهداء على الناس ويكون الرسول عليكم شهيدا وما جعلنا القبلة التي كنت عليها إلا لنعلم من يتبع الرسول ممن ينقلب على عقبيه وإن كانت لكبيرة إلا على الذين هدى الله وما كان الله ليضيع إيمانكم إن الله بالناس لرؤوف رحيم. قد نرى تقلب وجهك في السماء فلنولينك قبلة ترضاها فول وجهك شطر المسجد الحرام وحيث ما كنتم فولوا وجوهكم شطره وإن الذين أوتوا الكتاب ليعلمون أنه الحق من ربهم وما الله بغافل عما يعملون. ولئن أتيت الذين أوتوا الكتاب بكل آية ما تبعوا قبلتك وما أنت بتابع قبلتهم وما بعضهم بتابع قبلة بعض ولئن اتبعت أهواءهم من بعد ما جاءك من العلم إنك إذا لمن الظالمين. الذين آتيناهم الكتاب يعرفونه كما يعرفون أبناءهم وإن فريقا منهم ليكتمون الحق وهم يعلمون. الحق من ربك فلا تكونن من الممترين. ولكل وجهة هو موليها فاستبقوا الخيرات أينما تكونوا يأتي بكم الله جميعا إن الله على كل شيء قدير. ومن حيث خرجت فول وجهك شطر المسجد الحرام وإنه للحق من ربك وما الله بغافل عما تعملون. ومن حيث خرجت فول وجهك شطر المسجد الحرام وحيث ما كنتم فولوا وجوهكم شطره لئلا يكون للناس عليكم حجة إلا الذين ظلموا منهم فلا تخشوهم واخشوني ولأتم نعمتي عليكم ولعلكم تهتدون. كما أرسلنا فيكم رسولا منكم يتلو عليكم آياتنا ويزكيكم ويعلمكم الكتاب والحكمة ويعلمكم ما لم تكونوا تعلمون فاذكروني أذكركم واشكروا لي ولا تكفرون. So that last part that I just read, it's about a very important moment in the Islamic culture or the Islamic history. And it's the point where our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam got instructed to point when we pray. As you can see me, when I pray, I'm always facing a certain direction, and that direction is the Qibla or the Kaaba at Mecca, and that direction is not by chance. It serves many purposes. So I'm not gonna talk about anything that is transcendent or anything that is outside of my knowledge. I'm only here gonna talk about the psychological qibla or the psychological destination. As I said, this is my whole doctrine in life follows a certain philosophy or some certain concepts that doesn't change. Actually, I learn a lot, but again, I need to always know where I am facing, I'm an engineer, guys. There is those Cartesian coordinates where there is the x-axis, the y-axis. In life, there is something similar to that. So we pray 5 times a day, and so there are many reasons for us to pray. One of the very important reasons for me personally is to remind myself where I am facing and what I am doing. As I said, when we go through life, we get lost all the time. So I experienced that firsthand because I've never been an employee. I've always been an entrepreneur. So I built my first company, I built my second company, and every time I get in a certain line of business or a new line of business, it takes all of my life. I get lost in it literally. It's all I'm thinking about, it's all I'm dreaming about. And I do the same with everything in life. When I'm watching a new TV series, when I'm playing a new sport, when I'm learning a new instrument, anything I do, I get lost in. And that's good and bad at the same time. It's good because, as you can see me with Team 5 Tactics, for example, I play a whole lot. In the span of month, I've moved from silver to now platinum, and I'm hoping to get more. And it's literally a huge part of what I'm thinking about, because I spent hours in it. Imagine that for every human. Now, when you get to have a conversation with that human, his priorities, his dreams, his fears, they're all over the place. For us to be able to build anything as humans, to survive, to exist, coexist, we need to have something that unifies us. You can't force every human to do the same thing. You can't force them to have the same tests. You can't force them to speak the same language. You can't force them to do anything, but we, at the very base of our nature, we all share the same build as humans. And that's something that takes us a whole lot of time to realize, that at the very core of our beings, we're all the same. And if you're hating someone just because he's a different color, he speaks a different language, all of those superficial things, it's because of our foolishness. The very first part of that juz that we're reading right now. So, by having one destination that 5 times a day, we all are instructed to look toward and pray and forsake everything in this life and focus our all attention and our psyche and our emotions toward that goal. It's something that unifies us. And this bond here between all Muslims, no matter what language we speak, no matter what color our skin, or what culture, or what histories do we have, and there are over 2 billion Muslims on the planet currently, we all face the same direction 5 times a day. We all get reminded daily, 5 times a day, that we are all the same. We share the same thing. We need to be reminded of that, because, as I said, we get lost a lot as humans. And I realize that about myself, and I realize that about others as well. So every time that you meet a new human being, even if he's not a Muslim, by the way, and this is the thing here, Islam is not like a cult. No. Islam is like an invitation that you're giving out to everyone all the time by just existing. And this is what we are taught. So that's why we're reminded we're all the same. So we continue now. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا استعينوا بالصبر والصلاة إن الله مع الصابرين ولا تقولوا لمن يقتل في سبيل الله أموات بل أحياء ولكن لا تشعرون ولنبلونكم بشيء من الخوف والجوع ونقص من الأموال والأنفس والثمرات وبشر الصابرين الذين إذا أصابتهم مصيبة قالوا إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون أولئك عليهم صلوات من ربهم ورحمة وأولئك هم المهتدون. So those 5 verses here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those are just 5 verses, 5 lines. Those, for anyone who's reading, or is reading with me, or anyone who's listening, those are the secret code, the secret doctrine, the recipe for all the strengths that's showing in the Middle East right now. Anyone who's following the news knows that certain parts in the Middle East, that if I say right now, my stream here is gonna be marked, so I'm not gonna say it, but they're oppressed, they are facing and starving in a famine right now, they're under siege, they're being bombarded daily, and they are facing horrors. And if you see the videos, you will find them still have faith, stable, still saying some verses from the Quran, and smiling, celebrating, and in Ramadan actually fasting, And that's been since the 7th of October. That has been strange for many who, in the current day and age that we're living in, we've grown accustomed to the luxuries of life. And if we get a decaf latte, or if we get a caffeinated latte instead of a decaf latte, that's a trauma that we need to talk to service about. So when you see someone under those conditions who is still smiling, standing strong, some asked why, how, and those are the 5 lines that explains that, guys. So the translation here is, it's starting with this line here: يا أيها الذين آمنوا استعينوا بالصبر والصلاة إن الله مع الصابرين. Now, that doesn't exist in a vacuum. Okay, so the translation, as you can see, it's all believers seek comfort in patience and prayer. Allah is truly with those who are patient. Now, that doesn't exist in a vacuum. No. Here's the thing. For you, as I said again, in engineering, you don't suddenly start studying the alloys of that we build the car from, or the engine from, or how the internal combustion engine works, or anything like that. No. It's layers. You need to first understand some mechanics, then some physics, then some mathematics, and then we start talking about how the engine really works. It's the same here. Remember, we've started yesterday. We've built. Why should we think about the existence of God? Why should we think about the existence of Islam? Why should? Okay, it's layers. And if you've gone through those layers, one by one, you reach a certain position where you understand, all right, okay, I truly believe, I understand. And don't truly believe as a 30 years old believer. No. It's just your psyche. Okay, now I understand to a certain degree a little bit about everything. All right, now what? So the invitation now becomes clear to you. Now you become patient, because in life there are 2 sides. Exactly 2 sides, 2 roads all the time, 2 choices all the time, every time. One of them is easy. It's extremely easy. Let me explain that in a practical way. I've been in e-commerce business for 6 years. In e-commerce and in business, usually on the internet, the keyword is traffic. The easiest traffic source you can get on the internet is adult and porn and all of that. It's so easy, so cheap, and it's wrong. If I need to explain why, that's not gonna be hard, but it's gonna take a while. If you're not one of those guys who are listening to that and thinks, why is porn wrong? But no, I'm not gonna go into that now. The hard way is to actually do it right. Try to add value to the customer. Try to not cheat the customer with false advertising or anything like that. It's the same with everything else in life. Okay? You can actually spend time, go to the gym, try to, suffer, build muscles and all of that. Or you can simply try and find a pill that can make you lose weight, or try to inject steroids, or inject any kind of whatever into your veins, and hope that it will give you those results. It's the same with, you can steal. That's easy. You can work. That's hard. And as we've said yesterday, when you go through the building layers of Islam, you understand that, all right, now I've understood that, and I want to do the right thing, and I understand that most of the what's right and what's wrong is taught to us. We are not born with it. We have the nature to do the right thing, but if we follow just our own psyche, we're gonna end up doing the wrong thing, because we don't have the full knowledge or the full picture in our head. So now I want to do the right thing, but the wrong thing is much easier, and it's much more accessible. So I struggle all day, every day. And here is the invitation: be patient. Be patient. And this is the first thing: be patient and know that God is with you. And that's not just simple. Okay, God is with you, and you take and no. God is with you. You need to understand. Again, we talked about that yesterday. The concept of power, the concept of Allah, who is greater than everything, bigger than everything. Now, the second line, the hardest loss that you can face is the loss of a friend or a family member, and if they die in battle or die because of what's happening in the Middle East right now, you need to understand that this life that we're living in is an illusion. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. No one is gonna live forever. No one is gonna live to be over. Well, in our current day and age, what? You're gonna live to be 120 years old? Yay! But you're gonna die. You're gonna hate your life after 90 years or something. You're gonna miss everything. The nostalgia itself is gonna kill you. But while you are living, and that ache and that pain you're facing, you need to understand, no. Whoever got killed because he's faithful, he's a Muslim, because he suffered something, he's not dead. He's alive in the real life. And understand that and here's the key here. We will certainly test you with a touch of fear and famine and loss of property. That's exactly what's happening in the Middle East right now. Exactly. That was taught to us 1400 years ago, guys. Over 1,400 years ago, it was taught to us, and we see it. And crops give good news to those who patiently endure, who say, when struck by a disaster, surely to Allah we belong, and to Him we will all return. They are the ones who will receive Allah's blessing and mercy, and it is they who are rightly guided. Those are not just words for us. No. I say that when I lose a pen, as I said. The worst thing that has ever happened to you is the worst thing that has ever happened to you. So when I lose a pen, yes, I say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. We are told that. Again, Allah understands that. Allah doesn't tell you that you need to face greater loss so you can understand. No. We are actually taught, if you get poked by a needle, you are taught to say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, and you will be rewarded. And you don't just sit and wait, okay, where is my reward? I said the keyword here, where is my reward? No, it doesn't work like that. It's about what you yourself understands. If you treat each and every bit and piece of pain that you suffer through life as a reward, you're actually getting the gains from it. It's written on the walls of every gym throughout the world. No pain, no gain. Yeah. It's only about how you can turn that pain into gain. I'm sure suffered some pains in my life. I'm still trying to turn every amount of pain that I've suffered through, and some will be later in life, and some I might die without ever realizing, alright, what was the good from that pain? But you need to have the right compass. And if you have the right compass, then you're not gonna get lost chasing sedatives to cure that pain, which I sure see many do. You can, especially today, you can get lost in the simplest addictions like video games and anime, and that's my addiction here, just because you're afraid afraid to face the real pain in life, which is our many other simplest pain. When I failed college for 2 years, I got addicted to anime and video games. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, we continue. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الصفا والمروة من شعائر الله فمن حج البيت أو اعتمر فلا جناح عليه أن يطوف بهما ومن تطوع خيرا فإن الله شاكر عليم إن الذين يكتمون ما أنزلنا من البينات والهدى من بعد ما بيناه للناس في الكتاب أولئك يلعنهم الله ويلعنهم اللاعنون إلا الذين تابوا وأصلحوا وبينوا فأولئك أتوب عليهم وأنا التواب الرحيم إن الذين كفروا وماتوا وهم كفار أولئك عليهم لعنة الله والملائكة والناس أجمعين خالدين فيها لا يخفف عنهم العذاب ولا هم ينظرون وإلهكم إله واحد لا إله إلا هو الرحمن الرحيم إن في خلق السماوات والأرض واختلاف الليل والنهار والفلك التي تجري في البحر بما ينفع الناس وما أنزل الله من السماء من ماء فأحيا به الأرض بعد موتها وبث فيها من كل دابة وتصريف الرياح والسحاب المسخر بين السماء والأرض لآيات لقوم يعقلون. That verse It's a very simple verse for many who just read it, and we've read, as Muslims, we are taught to learn and read the Quran since we were children, and we keep reading verses, and there are many verses like this one. And again, I'm gonna read it in English here. Indeed, the creation of the heavens and earth, the alternation of the day and the night, the ships that sail the sea for the benefit of humanity, the rain sent down by Allah from the skies, reviving the earth after its death, the scattering of all kinds of creatures throughout, the shifting of the winds and the clouds drifting between the heavens and the earth. In all of this are surely signs for people of understanding. Islam, the first word that was ever sent to our Prophet ﷺ from the Quran, it was read. It was Iqra in Arabic, which translates to read. That's the very first word, all right? The very first word that was ever sent to Muhammad ﷺ is read. I've spent years, literal years. I have posted my library many times on Facebook over the years, and it keeps growing. I've spent years reading in science and philosophy and all of that, and me and many others, by the way. Me and others. I know about philosophers and other guys who spent years reading as well, and every line that they read, it points them towards the other direction, toward agnosticism and atheism and stuff like that. For me, every word and everything that I read and see, it points me toward Islam and toward there is only one God. Again, it's how is your compass? If you have, imagine that you have a very strong ship, a very strong and capable ship, but a wrong compass. You will sail the seas, the 7 seas, and you will always be facing the wrong direction, so you'll never get to the destination. But if you have a raft, a simple raft, but your compass in the right direction, you will actually reach your destination no matter how long it takes you. Living through life is the same. You can have the most amazing mind, be the Stephen Hawking, have the most beautiful mind ever. But if you're watching everything around you and your compass is skewed, as we said yesterday, you will never see the signs. But if you have a right compass, if you look anywhere around you, as it's written in this verse here, you will see all the signs around you. And here's the thing, and that's where I spent most of my thinking, the compass, the compass in you. How do you adjust it? This is what I'm still struggling with, because I've seen both, and it's something that we as Muslims understand that it takes effort for a normal human being who has found wrong paths in life. Some go back easily, some struggle. I really don't have a clear answer for that yet, but I know that we must struggle all the time. So why do you gamble? Why do you live your life gambling on your arrogance? If you think that you know everything, you should be proven wrong by just breathing. You will understand that you are in control of nothing. So it's actually astonishing to me how someone who understands physics or understands engineering to any degree just thinks that, this life is all, it's all by random, it's all by chance. I can't even fathom that. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ومن الناس من يتخذ من دون الله أندادا يحبونهم كحب الله والذين آمنوا أشد حبا لله ولو يرى الذين ظلموا إذ يرون العذاب أن القوة لله جميعا وأن الله شديد العذاب إذ تبرأ الذين اتبعوا من الذين اتبعوا ورأوا العذاب وتقطعت بهم الأسباب وقال الذين اتبعوا لو أن لنا كرة فنتبرأ منهم كما تبرأوا منا كذلك يريهم الله أعمالهم حسرات عليهم وما هم بخارجين من النار يا أيها الناس كلوا مما في الأرض حلالا طيبا ولا تتبعوا خطوات الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين إنما يأمركم بالسوء والفحشاء وأن تقولوا على الله ما لا تعلمون وإذا قيل لهم اتبعوا ما أنزل الله قالوا بل نتبع ما ألفينا عليه آباءنا أولو كان آباؤهم لا يعقلون شيئا ولا يهتدون ومثل الذين كفروا كمثل الذي ينعق بما لا يسمع إلا دعاء ونداء صم بكم عمي فهم لا يعقلون. Those two verses here, they every time when I see a movie from those Hollywood studios, and I watch a lot of movies, come on, as Egyptian living in the current day and age, I've been raised watching all of the action movies and Bruce Willis and all of the CIA movies and all of that, and because it's the Hollywood and the movie industry follows the political agenda, and when Russia was the greater enemy back in the 50s and 60s, Russia, any enemy in the movies had to speak Russian accent and had to be Russian. And when the period from 80s and 90s, all of the bad guys in the movies, all of the villains needed to be Arabic and Muslims. We've been raised hearing how we are idiots. We keep reading the same book for 1,000 years. We just follow without thinking. And anyone who spent even, as you can see, a couple hours trying to read, trying to understand, actually thinking or reading about Islam, he would have reached and read those lines and many others like him. We are actually, as Muslims, instructed not to follow our parents and our ancestors just because they are our parents and our ancestors. As I said, we are taught to think. This is the first thing. If you are a Muslim, you think. You can't follow. As a Muslim, you are not a follower. You are, first, you lead yourself, you think, and if you see something wrong around you, you don't follow. You stop and think. So it translates to, when it is said to them, follow what Allah has revealed, they lie. No, we are only follow what we found our forefathers practicing. Would they still do so even if their forefathers had absolutely no understanding or guidance? The example of the disbelievers not responding to the messenger's warning is like a flock not comprehending the calls and cries of the shepherd. They are willfully deaf, dumb, and blind, so they have no understanding. But it's easier to be violent toward another human being if you consider them dumb and lower state than you are. And that's what we've as Muslims been facing in the media for almost 25 years now. And the reason for that is simple politics. And anyone who understands the political landscape of the world throughout the past 50 years understands why. It's simply, again, it all goes back to power. And that's what I said. So, yeah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا كلوا من طيبات ما رزقناكم واشكروا لله إن كنتم إياه تعبدون إنما حرم عليكم الميتة والدم ولحم الخنزير وما أهل به لغير الله فمن اضطر غير باغ ولا عاد فلا إثم عليه إن الله غفور رحيم إن الذين يكتمون ما أنزل الله من الكتاب ويشترون به ثمنا قليلا أولئك ما يأكلون في بطونهم إلا النار ولا يكلمهم الله يوم القيامة ولا يزكيهم ولهم عذاب أليم أولئك الذين اشتروا الضلالة بالهدى والعذاب بالمغفرة فما أصبرهم على النار ذلك بأن الله نزل الكتاب بالحق وإن الذين اختلفوا في الكتاب لفي شقاق بعيد ليس البر أن تولوا وجوهكم قبل المشرق والمغرب ولكن البر من آمن بالله واليوم الآخر والملائكة والكتاب والنبيين وآتى المال على حبه ذوي القربى واليتامى والمساكين وابن السبيل والسائلين وفي الرقاب وأقام الصلاة وآتى الزكاة والموفون بعهدهم إذا عاهدوا والصابرين في البأساء والضراء وحين البأس أولئك الذين صدقوا وأولئك هم المتقون يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم القصاص في القتلى الحر بالحر والعبد بالعبد والأنثى بالأنثى فمن عفي له من أخيه شيء فاتباع بالمعروف وأداء إليه بإحسان ذلك تخفيف من ربكم ورحمة فمن اعتدى بعد ذلك فله عذاب أليم ولكم في القصاص حياة يا أولي الألباب لعلكم تتقون كتب عليكم إذا حضر أحدكم الموت إن ترك خيرا الوصية للوالدين والأقربين كتب عليكم إذا حضر أحدكم الموت إن ترك خيرا الوصية للوالدين والأقربين بالمعروف حقا على المتقين فمن بدله بعدما سمعه فإنما إثمه على الذين يبدلونه إن الله سميع عليم فمن خاف من موص جنفا أو إثما فأصلح بينهم فلا إثم عليه إن الله غفور رحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون أياما معدودات فمن كان منكم مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخر وعلى الذين يطيقونه فدية طعام مسكين فمن تطوع خيرا فهو خير له وأن تصوموا خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان فمن شهد منكم الشهر فليصمه ومن كان مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخر يريد الله بكم اليسر ولا يريد بكم العسر ولتكملوا العدة ولتكبروا الله على ما هداكم ولعلكم تشكرون وإذا سألك عبادي عني فإني قريب أجيب دعوة الداع إذا دعان فليستجيبوا لي وليؤمنوا بي لعلهم يرشدون أحل لكم ليلة الصيام الرفث إلى نسائكم هن لباس لكم وأنتم لباس لهن علم الله أنكم كنتم تختانون أنفسكم فتاب عليكم وعفى عنكم فالآن باشروهن وابتغوا ما كتب الله لكم وكلوا واشربوا حتى يتبين لكم الخيط الأبيض من الخيط الأسود من الفجر ثم أتموا الصيام إلى الليل ولا تباشروهن وأنتم عاكفون في المساجد تلك حدود الله فلا تقربوها كذلك يبين الله آياته للناس لعلهم يتقون ولا تأكلوا أموالكم بينكم بالباطل وتدلوا بها إلى الحكام لتأكلوا فريقا من أموال الناس بالإثم وأنتم تعلمون يسألونك عن الأهلة قل هي مواقيت للناس والحج وليس البر بأن تأتوا البيوت من ظهورها ولكن البر من اتقى وأتوا البيوت من أبوابها واتقوا الله لعلكم تفلحون وقاتلوا في سبيل الله الذين يقاتلونكم ولا تعتدوا إن الله لا يحب المعتدين واقتلوهم حيث ثقفتموهم وأخرجوهم من حيث أخرجوكم والفتنة أشد من القتل ولا تقاتلوهم عند المسجد الحرام حتى يقاتلوكم فيه فإن قاتلوكم فاقتلوهم كذلك جزاء الكافرين فإن انتهوا فإن الله غفور رحيم وقاتلوهم حتى لا تكون فتنة ويكون الدين لله فإن انتهوا فلا عدوان إلا على الظالمين الشهر الحرام بالشهر الحرام والحرمات قصاص فمن اعتدى عليكم فاعتدوا عليه بمثل ما اعتدى عليكم واتقوا الله واعلموا أن الله مع المتقين وأنفقوا في سبيل الله ولا تلقوا بأيديكم إلى التهلكة وأحسنوا إن الله يحب المحسنين. So that last part that I read, if you're reading it with me on the translation, so you see a lot of fighting and a lot of killing. Here's the thing. One of the things that I love the most about one of my teachers is his point of view about and his explanation about Islam, that Islam is not for an ideal world, for a utopia. There is no utopia. If anyone tried to read the actual utopia that was written, you understand that it ends in disaster. Any utopia ends in dystopia. What does it mean? And why am I talking about that here now? In the current day and age again that we're living in, where if some, I hate to say it, a Gen Z goes to a Starbucks and he gets a latte instead of a decaf latte, and that's a trauma for them, that's an illusion. That's not real life or real world. Okay? All it needs is just a taste, a simple taste of any real experience for their world to turn upside down. The problem is that bubble that most of them are living in, it's just a small bubble. This is not the real world. This resembles the top 0.1% of the world. Most of the other world are living real life with real consequences, but they are not portrayed on social media or in the movies or anything like that, because again, it's very hard and difficult to commercialize real world. Let me repeat that again. If you are living doing manual labor yourself, fending for your family, hunting, gathering, farming, doing anything like that, you rarely go daily to buy a cup of Starbucks, right? Imagine that again. You live your life in your country, in your farm, you travel. If something happens to your tractor, for example, you fix your tractor yourself. You don't buy. Now, because you don't buy, you're not the audience I'm looking for to talk to. So simply I'm gonna ignore you. Trying to get you to buy something that I make as a company, as a consumer goods company, is much harder, much more difficult than talking to an actual customer who buys. So what do I do as that company? If I am the Pepsi or the Coca-Cola or the Starbucks or whatever, I simply make commercials and put all my effort toward producing content and traffic pulling content for the base that already buys my products. And when I produce that content, it goes all over the world. So if there are 10 people who buy my product, who buy Starbucks, and out of the 100 people that are living on this planet, let's assume there is 100 people living on this planet, 90 of them don't drink Starbucks, but 10 do drink Starbucks. As the Starbucks owner, what do? I make movies and make commercials talking to those 10 people. But those movies are watched and consumed by the whole 100 people. Now, what the other 90 think? They think, okay, first, what do I do as the owner of Starbucks? I make sure to show that all of the population is just those 10 people, that everyone else is like those 10 people. That's how the mainstream becomes mainstream. We all think that the mainstream is the top 0.01% of the world. Nah! If you go traveling anywhere on this world, you will find that no one of the majority of the population is actually portrayed. And it takes one movie for every 100 movie to actually see a glimpse of what a real world is. Now, in the real world, there are consequences. There are life events and life details. And in this life, as I said, if you go back to the very nature of human beings, killing exists. Hate it or love it, it does. So, because it does, it had to be regulated. And it must be regulated, or it's simply gonna be, whoever is stronger will kill the weaker, and yay, I get his stuff, and we'll be living in Valorant or whatever. Imagine a video game. It will actually be like a video game. That's why those verses here exist, and they say exactly, if you don't kill for no reason, you only kill if someone else killed someone, and that a kill per kill. It has to be like this, and you only hurt if you've been hurt. You don't go. You can never be the aggressor if there is no reason for your aggression and all of that. So now, go back to the bubble. What is said inside of that bubble? Oh, they're talking about killing. No. Killing exists. Love it or hate it, it exists. And if it's not regulated, it will be chaos. So if you focus on that part and say, nah, it's gonna be exactly the same fight between the liberal and Democrats about gun control. This is why it's the whole gun control issue in America. It's a mystery if you don't understand the nature of humanity. No. I actually understand both points of views. I understand why, yes, everyone needs to have a gun. And again, I understand why those inside the bubble saying, nah, you shouldn't have guns. Actually, no, you should. It's the problem here is that both of them are living at the very extreme. But if you come to the real world, in between, in the middle, you will understand that the solution is apparent, which is you can't have a system that's 100% in control. And what's in Europe, it's simply because, again, the system has been really old in Europe. So I'm not gonna go into the political landscape of Europe versus the United States, but let's just understand that utopia doesn't exist. And if you want a doctrine, a system, a constitution, you need to have it real, not for the utopia. There is no utopia. There is always dystopia if you go for the utopia. Let's continue. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وأنفقوا في سبيل الله ولا تلقوا بأيديكم إلى التهلكة وأحسنوا إن الله يحب المحسنين وأتموا الحج والعمرة لله فإن أحصرتم فما استيسر من الهدي ولا تحلقوا رؤوسكم حتى يبلغ الهدي محله فمن كان منكم مريضا أو به أذى من رأسه ففدية من صيام أو صدقة أو نسك فإذا أمنتم فمن تمتع بالعمرة إلى الحج فما استيسر من الهدي فمن لم يجد فصيام 3 أيام في الحج و7 إذا رجعتم تلك 10 كاملة ذلك لمن لم يكن أهله حاضر المسجد الحرام واتقوا الله واعلموا أن الله شديد العقاب الحج أشهر معلومات فمن فرض فيهن الحج فلا رفث ولا فسوق ولا جدال في الحج وما تفعلوا من خير يعلمه الله وتزودوا فإن خير الزاد التقوى واتقون يا أولي الألباب ليس عليكم جناح أن تبتغوا فضلا من ربكم فإذا أفضتم من عرفات فاذكروا الله عند المشعر الحرام واذكروه كما هداكم وإن كنتم من قبله لمن الضالين ثم أفيضوا من حيث أفاض الناس واستغفروا الله إن الله غفور رحيم فإذا قضيتم مناسككم فاذكروا الله كذكركم آباءكم أو أشد ذكرا فمن الناس من يقول ربنا آتنا في الدنيا وما له في الآخرة من خلاق ومنهم من يقول ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار أولئك لهم نصيب مما كسبوا والله سريع الحساب واذكروا الله في أيام معدودات فمن تعجل في يومين فلا إثم عليه ومن تأخر فلا إثم عليه لمن اتقى واتقوا الله واعلموا أنكم إليه تحشرون ومن الناس من يعجبك قوله في الحياة الدنيا ويشهد الله على ما في قلبه وهو ألد الخصام وإذا تولى سعى في الأرض ليفسد فيها ويهلك الحرث والنسل والله لا يحب الفساد وإذا قيل له اتق الله أخذته العزة بالإثم فحسبه جهنم ولبئس المهاد ومن الناس من يشري نفسه ابتغاء مرضات الله والله رؤوف بالعباد يا أيها الذين آمنوا ادخلوا في السلم كافة ولا تتبعوا خطوات الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين فإن زللتم من بعد ما جاءتكم البينات فاعلموا أن الله عزيز حكيم هل ينظرون إلا أن يأتيهم الله في ظلل من الغمام والملائكة وقضي الأمر وإلى الله ترجع الأمور سل بني إسرائيل كم آتيناهم من آية بينة ومن يبدل نعمة الله من بعد ما جاءته فإن الله شديد العقاب زين للذين كفروا الحياة الدنيا ويسخرون من الذين آمنوا والذين اتقوا فوقهم يوم القيامة والله يرزق من يشاء بغير حساب كان الناس أمة واحدة فبعث الله النبيين مبشرين ومنذرين وأنزل معهم الكتاب بالحق ليحكم بين الناس فيما اختلفوا فيه وما اختلف فيه إلا الذين أوتوه من بعد ما جاءتهم البينات بغيا بينهم فهدى الله الذين آمنوا لما اختلفوا فيه من الحق بإذنه والله يهدي من يشاء إلى صراط مستقيم. That verse here, that was what I've been saying for 2 days now. I'm gonna read the translation for it now again. Humanity had once been one community of believers before they lost faith. Alright? This is the story here, guys. This is a story that exists in every story and that we've been taught throughout every religion and every. Then Allah raised prophets as deliverers of good news and as warners, and revealed to them that the scriptures in truth to judge among people regarding their disputes. As I said, any experiments that you try to conduct, even mentally, about get 100 people, put them on an island, from scratch. They know nothing about anything, they're just starting civilization from scratch. There will always be disputes. And no matter how many iterations, and in the world of AI, this can be conducted to a very simple degree, a very basic degree there. If you just keep asking, to reiterate that experiment, it will never grow to be utopia or a big civilization without going through as many iterations as possible until they are exhausted, and that knowledge has to be transferred from one generation to the other, to the other, to the other. And then we need the guidance. We don't know what we don't know. As humanity, we don't know what we don't know. And without knowing that there is an afterlife, a real life, not afterlife, a real life. This, what we're in right now, this is just a phase. Without knowing that, believing in that, and understanding that, what keeps us from just doing whatever we're doing? What, fear of consequences? Then gather an army. And this is how it is, right? If you are following the law just because you're afraid of the consequences, then all you need is to be stronger. So, wars happens. Then what? A NATO? Whatever is happening right now? Then you understand that this life that we're living in is just ruled by power, no morals whatsoever. If you live your life thinking that you will spend your life trying to chase that power, just to understand that even if you get it, if you become the biggest emperor that ever lives, you are still weak. Very weak, right? You will die. Let's assume that this is how you think your life. You understand? You will understand. If you look at the world, you will understand that the world we are living in right now is not ruled by morals or right or wrong or good and bad. No, it's ruled by power and power only. So let's get that power. Now you've become the greatest emperor to ever live. And let's assume that you're in your 40s. A prominent young man, 36, 35, 36 right now. Let's make you 38. Henry Cavill's age. No, Henry Cavill's 40. Let's make you Henry Cavill, the most handsome man, and you're the strongest man to ever live and ruling empires and empires, and still you're weak. Let's give you all the knowledge in the world. Now you are the most prominent physician and most prominent engineer, prominent scientist in all fields, and you're still weak. You don't know a whole lot about everything, because the more that you learn, the more that you know that you don't know. That's why you understand that the thing that you've been chasing all your life is actually illusion. Yeah? So you go the other direction and you become Diogenes, the philosopher, Asmongold. As I said, he's the closest one to a real life Diogenes that we know of currently because of how famous he is. Diogenes is that philosopher who has been living in a barrel, in his filth, forsaking everything in this world. And the great Alexander knew about him, that he was living back then, and he sent for Diogenes to come to him. Diogenes refused. He said, no, if there is someone who wants to come and see me, he will come and see me. He's telling that to the greatest emperor to ever live, the Alexander the Great. So Alexander the Great is intrigued. He goes to see him, and he stands on top of the barrel, asking Diogenes, looking him in the eye, what is it that you want? Come on, bro. You've been living, forsaken everything in this life for all your life on earth, and now I'm here, the greatest emperor to ever live, and I'm asking you, what is it that you want? And anything that you want, I'm gonna give it to you. And Diogenes look at him and, yo, bro, anything? Alexander the Great tells him, yes, anything. So he tells him, please, will you move to the side? You're blocking my sun. That is the other end of the spectrum. The two opposite ends of the spectrum are now meeting face to face, and they are both realizing that none of us actually found what we're looking for. And if you're in the middle, you will always be gravitating one way or another, because the thing is, your compass shouldn't be looking toward power or forsaking everything. Your compass should be looking toward something else, and that's what we've been saying for 2 days now. And only by doing that, you will understand that you gain both things. You will actually gain them. You will gain all the power, and you will gain all the weakness. It's not weakness here. It's forsaken this life. And as a Muslim, we're taught not to be living as monks, by the way. As Muslims, we are taught to trade and gather wealth and gather strength. We are taught that a stronger Muslim is much better than a weaker Muslim. But here's the thing. Strength or weakness or wealth or whatever, you don't gain it for yourself. You gain it to serve your compass, to serve the compass that's inside of you. It's not outside of you. You don't serve another human being. No, you serve yourself. But your compass is pointing toward, well, that's what we've been talking about since yesterday. So this is here. This explains all of that. This verse here. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أم حسبتم أن تدخلوا الجنة ولما يأتكم مثل الذين خلوا من قبلكم مستهم البأساء والضراء وزلزلوا حتى يقول الرسول والذين آمنوا معه متى نصر الله ألا إن نصر الله قريب يسألونك ماذا ينفقون قل ما أنفقتم من خير فللوالدين والأقربين واليتامى والمساكين وابن السبيل وما تفعلوا من خير فإن الله به عليم كتب عليكم القتال وهو كره لكم وعسى أن تكرهوا شيئا وهو خير لكم وعسى أن تحبوا شيئا وهو شر لكم والله يعلم وأنتم لا تعلمون يسألونك عن الشهر الحرام قتال فيه قل قتال فيه كبير وصد عن سبيل الله وكفر به والمسجد الحرام وإخراج أهله منه أكبر عند الله والفتنة أكبر من القتل ولا يزالون يقاتلونكم حتى يردوكم عن دينكم إن استطاعوا ومن يرتد منكم عن دينه فيمت وهو كافر فأولئك حبطت أعمالهم في الدنيا والآخرة وأولئك أصحاب النار هم فيها خالدون إن الذين آمنوا والذين هاجروا وجاهدوا في سبيل الله أولئك يرجون رحمة الله والله غفور رحيم يسألونك عن الخمر والميسر قل فيهما إثم كبير ومنافع للناس وإثمهما أكبر من نفعهما ويسألونك ماذا ينفقون قل العفو كذلك يبين الله لكم الآيات لعلكم تتفكرون في الدنيا والآخرة ويسألونك عن اليتامى قل إصلاح لهم خير وإن تخالطوهم فإخوانكم والله يعلم المفسد من المصلح ولو شاء الله لأعنتكم إن الله عزيز حكيم ولا تنكحوا المشركات حتى يؤمن ولأمة مؤمنة خير من مشركة ولو أعجبتكم ولا تنكحوا المشركين حتى يؤمنوا ولعبد مؤمن خير من مشرك ولو أعجبكم أولئك يدعون إلى النار والله يدعو إلى الجنة والمغفرة بإذنه ويبين آياته للناس لعلهم يتذكرون ويسألونك عن المحيض قل هو أذى فاعتزلوا النساء في المحيض ولا تقربوهن حتى يطهرن فإذا تطهرن فأتوهن من حيث أمركم الله إن الله يحب التوابين ويحب المتطهرين نساؤكم حرث لكم فأتوا حرثكم أن شئتم وقدموا لأنفسكم واتقوا الله واعلموا أنكم ملاقوه وبشر المؤمنين ولا تجعلوا الله عرضة لأيمانكم أن تبروا وتتقوا وتصلحوا بين الناس والله سميع عليم لا يؤاخذكم الله باللغو في أيمانكم ولكن يؤاخذكم بما كسبت قلوبكم والله غفور حليم للذين يؤلون من نسائهم تربص 4 أشهر فإن فاءوا فإن الله غفور رحيم وإن عزموا الطلاق فإن الله سميع عليم والمطلقات يتربصن بأنفسهن 3 قروء ولا يحل لهن أن يكتمن ما خلق الله في أرحامهن إن كن يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر وبعولتهن أحق بردهن في ذلك إن أرادوا إصلاحا ولهن مثل الذي عليهن بالمعروف وللرجال عليهن درجة والله عزيز حكيم. الطلاق مرتان فإمساك بمعروف أو تسريح بإحسان ولا يحل لكم أن تأخذوا مما آتيتموهن شيئا إلا أن يخافا ألا يقيم حدود الله فإن خفتم ألا يقيم حدود الله فلا جناح عليهما فيما افتدت به تلك حدود الله فلا تعتدوها ومن يتعد حدود الله فأولئك هم الظالمون. فإن طلقها فلا تحل له من بعد حتى تنكح زوجا غيره فإن طلقها فلا جناح عليهما أن يتراجعا إن ظنا أن يقيم حدود الله وتلك حدود الله يبينها لقوم يعلمون. وإذا طلقتم النساء فبلغن أجلهن فأمسكوهن بمعروف أو سرحوهن بمعروف ولا تمسكوهن ضرارا لتعتدوا ومن يفعل ذلك فقد ظلم نفسه ولا تتخذوا آيات الله هزوا واذكروا نعمة الله عليكم وما أنزل عليكم من الكتاب والحكمة يعظكم به واتقوا الله واعلموا أن الله بكل شيء عليم. وإذا طلقتم النساء فبلغن أجلهن فلا تعضلوهن أن ينكحن أزواجهن إذا تراضوا بينهم بالمعروف ذلك يوعظ به من كان منكم يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر ذلكم أزكى لكم وأطهر والله يعلم وأنتم لا تعلمون. والوالدات يرضعن أولادهن حولين كاملين لمن أراد أن يتم الرضاعة وعلى المولود له رزقهن وكسوتهن بالمعروف لا تكلف نفس إلا وسعها لا تضار والدة بولدها ولا مولود له بولده وعلى الوارث مثل ذلك فإن أرادا فصالا عن تراض منهما وتشاور فلا جناح عليهما وإن أردتم أن تسترضعوا أولادكم فلا جناح عليكم إذا سلمتم ما آتيتم بالمعروف واتقوا الله واعلموا أن الله بما تعملون بصير. والذين يتوفون منكم ويذرون أزواجا يتربصن بأنفسهن 4 أشهر وعشرا فإذا بلغن أجلهن فلا جناح عليكم فيما فعلن في أنفسهن بالمعروف والله بما تعملون خبير. ولا جناح عليكم فيما عرضتم به من خطبة النساء أو أكننتم في أنفسكم علم الله أنكم ستذكرونهن ولكن لا تواعدوهن سرا إلا أن تقولوا قولا معروفا ولا تعزموا عقدة النكاح حتى يبلغ الكتاب أجله واعلموا أن الله يعلم ما في أنفسكم فاحذروه واعلموا أن الله غفور حليم. لا جناح عليكم إن طلقتم النساء ما لم تمسوهن أو تفرضوا لهن فريضة ومتعوهن على الموسع قدره وعلى المقتر قدره متاعا بالمعروف حقا على المحسنين. وإن طلقتموهن من قبل أن تمسوهن وقد فرضتم لهن فريضة فنصف ما فرضتم إلا أن يعفون أو يعفو الذي بيده عقدة النكاح وأن تعفوا أقرب للتقوى ولا تنسوا الفضل بينكم إن الله بما تعملون بصير. حافظوا على الصلوات والصلاة الوسطى وقوموا لله قانتين فإن خفتم فرجالا أو ركبانا فإذا أمنتم فاذكروا الله كما علمكم ما لم تكونوا تعلمون. والذين يتوفون منكم ويذرون أزواجا وصية لأزواجهم متاعا إلى الحول غير إخراج فإن خرجن فلا جناح عليكم فيما فعلن في أنفسهن من معروف والله عزيز حكيم. وللمطلقات متاع بالمعروف حقا على المتقين كذلك يبين الله لكم آياته لعلكم تعقلون. I just want to see how far we have to go for the I'm at 242 now, 242, so this is at 253. all right, okay, so 10 more. 242 at 242, yeah, 242. Yeah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألم تر إلى الذين خرجوا من ديارهم وهم ألوف حذر الموت فقال لهم الله موتوا ثم أحياهم إن الله لذو فضل على الناس ولكن أكثر الناس لا يشكرون وقاتلوا في سبيل الله واعلموا أن الله سميع عليم من ذا الذي يقرض الله قرضا حسنا فيضاعفه له أضعافا كثيرة والله يقبض ويبسط وإليه ترجعون ألم تر إلى الملأ من بني إسرائيل من بعد موسى إذ قالوا لنبي لهم بعث لنا ملكا نقاتل في سبيل الله قال هل عسيتم إن كتب عليكم القتال ألا تقاتلوا قالوا وما لنا ألا نقاتل في سبيل الله وقد أخرجنا من ديارنا وأبنائنا فلما كتب عليهم القتال تولوا إلا قليلا منهم والله عليم بالظالمين وقال لهم نبيهم إن الله قد بعث لكم طالوت ملكا قالوا أنى يكون له الملك علينا ونحن أحق بالملك منه ولم يؤت سعة من المال قال إن الله اصطفاه عليكم وزاده بسطة في العلم والجسم والله يؤتي ملكه من يشاء والله واسع عليم وقال لهم نبيهم إن آية ملكه أن يأتيكم التابوت فيه سكينة من ربكم وبقية مما ترك آل موسى وآل هارون تحمله الملائكة إن في ذلك لآية لكم إن كنتم مؤمنين فلما فصل طالوت بالجنود قال إن الله مبتليكم بنهر فمن شرب منه فليس مني ومن لم يطعمه فإنه مني إلا من اغترف غرفة بيده فشربوا منه إلا قليلا منهم فلما جاوزه هو والذين آمنوا معه قالوا لا طاقة لنا اليوم بجالوت وجنوده قال الذين يظنون أنهم ملاقو الله كم من فئة قليلة غلبت فئة كثيرة بإذن الله والله مع الصابرين ولما برزوا لجالوت وجنوده قالوا ربنا أفرغ علينا صبرا وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين فهزموهم بإذن الله وقتل داود جالوت وآتاه الله الملك والحكمة وعلمه مما يشاء ولولا دفع الله الناس بعضهم ببعض لفسدت الأرض ولكن الله ذو فضل على العالمين تلك آيات الله نتلوها عليك بالحق وإنك لمن المرسلين صدق الله العلي العظيم. So, sorry, I just threw a thing in there. That took longer than yesterday, but alright. It's commitment, guys. It's commitment, and when I start ranting, I keep ranting. So sorry for that. I'm gonna take a break now, go to the gym, maybe eat something later, and come back for the next part of the stream. Let's see how long that will take. See you then.